This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, it's not a sunrise this morning, but rather a moon set on a cold, frigid start to our day. It's not exactly warm out here, but hopefully it will be a good one. We already have tracks for a male leopard, and like I say, a beautiful moon to gaze upon. We hope that you're ready and strapped in for this, a Catterday, and we look forward to taking you on your very own live African safari. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari. Like I say, it's a bitterly cold one this morning, but we'll get into that just now. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got David. I think it's David. All I can see is two eyes peering at me through a whole bunch of layers and scarves and beanies and everything else that one can have. But David is sitting there and is making himself look very, very warm. Now, we are coming to you live from South Africa, so we would love to hear from all of you. Hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, at FC on YouTube, comments boxes of the various other streams we platforms that we stream to. There we go, David. We'll get there eventually. And kids, you can send your kids' questions through to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's the tracks for what I think is Tingana, heading up. It's not Mulawati's tracks. These are not big enough for him, and certainly doesn't look like tortoise pans, and they come from the direction that Tingana was heading yesterday. It could, I suppose, be Tabangumi, but let's follow them and see. These days with leopard tracks, it's difficult to know who's who in this sector, so we'll just try and follow. I'm hoping that he hasn't gone into the west. Is he still going, David? Looks like he's still going. Wonderful. I can see his tracks kind of down the edge here, so we'll go quite quickly on these to try and just make up some time. There's hyenas that are following him, so in places it's quite tricky to pick up the track and to know exactly what's going on. But I was saying that it's frigid this morning. It's been a very long time since I've done a game drive in the Sabi sands where it's 2 degrees, but that apparently is the temperature this morning. That is what we are dealing with. Now, 2 degrees doesn't sound like it's very, very cold to probably half of South Africa at the moment that's experiencing negative temperatures, but I can tell you, being in an open car like this, it's not great. It is cold, so we're going to hopefully just try and stay on the crest and hope that Tingana, with all his experience, does the same. David? He's gone off. Let's go this way. Maybe he cut towards the power lines, maybe he made a late decision, or maybe we just drove past him and he's just curled up on the edge of the road. One can never be too sure with Tingana. Also, like I said, it might not even be him. Maybe it's one of these other males, but it comes from the right direction, that it could very well be him. Okay, hyenas. Nothing that I can see here, so I'm going to have to just have a careful look, maybe just go back and check the tracks over there. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to the weather so you can see just how cold it's going to be for all of us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. We've just had a live hunt. Well, it wasn't live, but it's happening right now. How exciting. Saddle-billed stork has got a frog, or it looks like a frog, or it was a frog. Let's just wait and see, PK. Oh, well, okay, that was that. Jolly good. My name is Lauren. I'm absolutely frozen. My cameraman is BK. He is also frozen. My fingers are not quite working anymore, but I'm going to try and get some blood going back into them as we watch this beautiful stork at Chelapan. My goodness, everyone, it's cold. Oh, BK's got a hot water bottle, haven't you? Yeah, that was a good idea, BK. Didn't quite think of that one. And our plan today is to try and head to the Lions, but we have a bit of an issue. The game drive radios are down, so I'm going to have to, not sure how I can maneuver this. They are in Torchwood, as you know. And Tristan said lots of hyenas were arriving as he was leaving. And that's the best way to catch up with the Djuma clan. Big, large lion kills, be it giraffe, zebra, buffalo, even a wildebeest, actually, hyenas will come, and it's on Torchwood, so it's similar. Well, it's not too far, it's part of their territory, and it means we're going to get to see the Talamatis, and hopefully we're going to get to catch up with the Djuma clan. I just need to figure out how we're going to get in without a game drive radio. I'm telling you, this stork's not cold, that's for sure. I think that was a frog. It's very cool how it found that frog. I do not know. I think this is the first time I've ever seen a saddle-billed stork at Chelapan. You see how he's using its beak, highly specialized, to probe under the bottom of the water body, stirring up the sediment. So it's essentially like us taking a spoon and just stirring up the bottom of something. And that's going to sort of bring all the life that lives in the sediment. Crustaceans, aquatic insects. But it is the heart of winter, and I have to say I'm surprised by that frog. But that's what it's doing. So if you were to look under this water body right now, it would be extremely murky because he's stirring everything up. Actually, this is a female. My bad, sorry. Trying to get a good view if this is a male or female. The female doesn't have the wattles, and I can't see the wattles. And you also look at the eye. The female has a really yellow eye and no wattles, and the male has a brown eye and wattles. I don't see the wattles. But my eyeballs are also frozen. So they're possibly there. Yeah, I think they are actually there. It's a male, everyone. Goodness. You got to look underneath at the very bottom of the very base of the beak, where the beak joins the face. You'll see there's a little yellow, what we call wattle. And the eyes look brown to me, but this is one busy bird. This is really quite amazing. And they're endotherms at the end of the day, just like us. Eat, keep warm. You're all saying that water must be so cold. 100% it will be cold. But this guy clearly just wants to keep warm by feeding and also moving. And that's key. Keep moving. And birds are just like us. They're not ectotherms. And it must have been a cold night. I honestly can't even imagine how some of the animals out here really got through the night. Of course they do. They're used to it. They have special adaptations, but my goodness. doesn't actually put his face in. You see that it is just a beak probing through the sediment, probing through the mud. Lots of life will be there, believe it or not. But this is a very large bird, the tallest we get out here. It will need a substantial amount of food. Okay, I really need to get figuring out how I'm going to get into this lion sighting. Hopefully, we warm up and we get there. We're just admiring that sun coming up on this extremely cold morning. The dramatic skies are absolutely stunning. And there's a saddled bull stork here also fishing away for its breakfast. I love these birds. He's hungry. But we're actually just going to sit here for a moment or two and watch the stork and listen to all the sounds of the morning. I just caught something. Well done to you. Did you see what it was, Beaks? Fish. My goodness. Very impressive skills here. We are going to bumble on now and see what else we can find for the morning.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands and we're about to start bushwalk. So quite often what we do as we start our walk is just to sit somewhere, listen, and to listen to all the different sounds that we can pick up. And quite often that's how we find actually where direction to go and follow up. A few mornings ago, this is one of the ways how I've actually found a large group of lions as well as a hyena. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Mpo. Let me tell you a little bit about the story. So we had a drive, we stopped and we listened. It was still dark and we pinpointed the direction of a number of hyenas calling. We then also started hearing the distant sound of hyenas and some more lion. We started moving into that direction and very soon we started noticing that there was a number of vultures that were up in a tree as well as a large number of hyenas on the ground, all staring into a specific direction. We were very fortunate as we made our approach. We discovered some 22 lions on a giraffe kill. This was followed by a lot of interesting interaction. By the time that the lions were finished, the hyenas came in and then there was a big fight between them and the vultures. We're just going to sit here for a little bit longer and then we're going to start our walk. Some Egyptian geese in the background that's making a big noise. Seems like they've got a little bit of a territorial dispute between some neighbors that try to come and take up their dam. I've just been chased off. So quite often when we do see Egyptian geese that occupy a territory, the moment that another pair comes into the territory, there's always some form of conflict. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer, enjoy our sunrise and sit and listen to the sounds and then start moving off. But let's go and see what Trico is up to.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. So we're also doing the same thing as JP is doing, just enjoying the sunrise. As you can see, they're coming through there. Good morning once more, everybody. My name is Trico, and behind the camera I have Owen with me doing a fantastic job. As you can see over there, the sun is coming nicely through the north zones there. And that is the area where we're going to be going, actually. We're going to be heading in a easterly direction. We had some lion audio coming from that direction, so we're going to try to head there and see if maybe we can find those animals. They could be far, though, maybe further east on our eastern boundary, but it's worth to go and have a look. All right. Very nice and chilly here this morning on Ngala. I think it's about, early this morning it was about 7 degrees, and now it's about 9 or so. So yeah, very, very cold. But this is that time of the day where some of the predators will still be potentially moving around, depending if they haven't eaten as yet. They'll be moving around looking to find any opportunities. And also, for lions, if they've broke away from, the other members, if it's a big pride, they'll be contact calling, looking to find them. The males usually will be territorial calling and moving around. But as soon as it becomes more warmer, they'll look for some shade and rest for the day. So we're going to have a look in that area. There's some nice open clearings there, so we're gonna look there and then head to some water holes as well. See right in front of us, it looks like there is some dung here. Those big blobs that you see there. There we go. Looks like there some buffaloes moving through here. Looking at the fact that there's just only one there, and I don't see a lot of tracks around, so it could be 1 or 2 buffaloes moving through here heading east. So yeah, let's go down the road and see if maybe we can also find them. I mean, the dung is looking nice and fresh. So they've passed here not too long ago. Jerome, welcome. I'm glad that you can join us. Are water holes still active even when it's cold? Jerome, it depends. So remember, there are some other animals here that are highly, highly water dependent. They don't linger too far away from water holes. Some animals, before they move around, they'll head to the water hole, have a bit of a drink, and move. So yeah, we could find some animals, and you know, we can also not see anything. Sun looking nice and bright. All right, still gonna try to get to those open clearings and see maybe we can find these lions that we're calling. But in the meantime, I'm gonna send you over to Tristan.
While Trico moves towards open clearings, we are moving now from an open clearing in towards a thicket. The last tracks we have of this male leopard are cutting in to this block here, so I'm just trying to see if they come out. If they don't come out, then I know he's still sitting in here somewhere, and we'll go and find him. And he should, if all things considered, his impala's here, that he should pop out somewhere here if he was kind of already gone. But if he hasn't come through, then he might be lying up watching these impalas now. So just gonna do this little section very, very, very carefully. If it's Tavangumi, then he likes to come out here. There's a big game path that comes out. This is his little walkway that he likes to take, or used to take. If it's Tingana, well, it's just so random these days that it's difficult to know what his kind of movement is going to be. Alright, David, so nothing coming out, which tells me that he's still there. I wonder if he's not watching these impalas, because he wouldn't come out from these angles. This is too tight an angle from where we last had the track. What I might do is go back to that last track and then just drive on the track, or on the game path, see if we spot him. Definitely nothing here in front. Unless I missed him crossing, because he's done some weird little movements, this cat, whoever it is, like off the road and then walking parallel with the road for a good 100 meters and then cutting back onto the road and then cutting over and back. I saw a truck here for Kara as well. Maybe from yesterday. Sorry, David. You're right there. You'll survive. Nothing like a little clip to the ear in the cold weather. I wonder why it's so painful that in cold weather when your ear like gets a little. It's not horrible, not nice at all. It's that pain that makes you want to. I don't know. Actually what it makes you want to do, but it makes you want to do probably awful things. Remember when my brother used to flick me in the ear when I was younger, when it was cold? Did you ever have that, David? Sure. The rage that can consume you when a sibling flicks your ear in the cold is not funny. Alright, so nothing coming out here that I can see. This block is quite big, but the direction that leopard was taking should have popped it out long ago already. So I want to go back. As we know with leopards, when they're walking like this early mornings, if they come across herds of impala, they typically stop and they actually watch them for a while, and either they hunt or they just kind of look where they're going. If they're on a scent marking patrol, then they just walk past it and get shouted at and get it over with and carry on. But for the most part, most leopards, when they spot an antelope, they're not going to just walk into it and make a big ruckus. They're going to try and see if they can stalk them a little bit and try and see if they can get something going. And the fact that we haven't found any tracks here, I mean, this is the big game path that I thought she might come out on if it's Tavangumi, but nothing there. This game path splits into two. It goes left to Aubrey's Road, and then right, it takes us back to Vuetela Access. So let's go back to those last tracks and just have a little look there and just check. Maybe this leopard is just curled up in this grass watching what's going on, and then we get a little bit of luck if we go back onto the track.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Maritaba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Maritaba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Nikki, your guide here at andBeyond in Ngala. So my favorite animal in the African bush definitely has to be the zebra, because like people, with our fingerprints, every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And, of course, a group of zebras together is called the dazzle. How unique is that? Come and join me or one of my colleagues here in Ngala for a sunrise and sunset safari on WildEarth.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Welcome back, everybody. So as you can see right in front of your screens, you see we have an African elephant busy trying to pull that little bush. Looks like there's a bit of a struggle there. Look at that. I mean, look how thorny that bush is, eh? Quite a lot of thorns in around it, but this elephant just feeds on it like it's nothing. Look at those thorns sticking out. And he's just gonna crunch through there. No ways. It pretty much shows you how tough these animals are, especially the insides of their mouth. I mean, if we were to swallow that bush with those thorns, that would hurt really bad. But this elephant just makes it look so effortless. Quite amazing how they don't only use the trunk, to be able to take out or pull out things. Sometimes they'll even use their feet, so they'll wrap it around with their trunks and just give it a little kick and dislodge them from the ground. There we go. I mean, that plant must be really delicious. There you go, one more time. So an elephant like this, a day, it'll take, or it'll feed about 200 to 250 kilograms of grass and trees. I mean, that is a lot, which is why they'll always be moving around trying to find some food. I mean, as you can imagine, look at the weight of this animal, or the size. They're really, really big, and their digestive system is not so good, so they'll be constantly feeding. Katie, welcome. I'm glad that you can join us. I love them as well, indeed. They're such amazing animals. And I don't know if you can hear in the background, if you listen. Can you hear that sort of hooting sound? Did everybody hear that? So right on our right hand side, we're actually driving on the edge of the riverbed. Yeah, but it sounds like there are some Verruc's eagle owls calling, hooting on the side. All right, I think the elephant just went straight into the bushes there. So we're gonna go back, still heading east, and see if maybe we can find those lions that we had earlier on. Just gonna reverse around here. MGN, welcome. I'm glad that you can join us. Do elephants lose weight during winter time? A very good question there. I mean, it's not something that I have observed. But I don't think they do, eh? I mean, there's still quite a lot of amount of food. I mean, remember, even though it's winter time and the grass is so dry, but along the riverbeds, some of the grass is still nice and green and very nutritious. As you can see, some of the trees here are nice and green. We do also have trees that are, you know, all year round green. So I don't think they do lose weight. So they don't struggle that much. But a very good question there. I can go with that question again. You broke up a little bit. Renee, welcome. An amazing question there. Do we have marula trees on Ngala, and you believe elephants like them? Yes, we do. Actually, we have a lot of marula trees, and elephants do love them. A lot, actually. But right now, we are, you know, in our winter time. So most of the marulas don't have fruits. But during our summertime, there's going to be marulas everywhere, and you'll see these elephants going absolutely crazy for them. But a very good question there. All right, we're out in the clearings here. So just gonna keep an eye out and see what we can find in these areas.
Still no luck with this male leopard yet. Nothing coming out that we can find. So I don't know if he's just in that block and milling about, or he crossed somewhere where we missed it. It's not easy to see tracks at the moment because the light is very poor. We don't have much sunlight. If you look, it's hidden behind a cloud. So everything's very soft and there's no hard edges to the tracks, which makes it quite tricky to pick up. David, it's getting colder.
It is.
David and I were saying it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be, but I think we spoke too soon. It's definitely getting much cooler than it was when we started. Pretty though. Worth just turning off and listening for a little bit. You never know, maybe he moves and those impalas snort or something like that. Quiet from a bird front, you know, normally you get dawn chorus. Weird, eh, David? Absolutely silent. Eerily quiet this morning. Alright, I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep going from here and just take the fire break, check this northern part of the block towards Aubrey's, make sure nothing pops out there. If nothing there, then we'll come back, go Baobab Dam, and then we'll come down over to access again and just check and see if there's something popping out, since I'm sure he's here somewhere. We just got to try and find him. But yeah, we'll keep persevering. It's a good and worthwhile exercise to do.
We've made it to Torchwood Dam, also known as Ledwood Dam. It's easier just to say Torchwood, to be honest. And we've got the Talamatis. They're not on the buffalo. They appear to have left it. So I will quickly go around and check the buffalo, see if there's any scavengers on it or what the scenario is up there. But for now, we've got the Talamatis. Torchwood Dam is lovely. I've had some incredible sightings here, and we haven't always been able to go live here. In summer, we didn't get signal here because it's so thick. The density of the bush actually affects our signal, believe it or not. Sounds crazy, I know. But now you're getting beautiful views of Torchwood Dam. So when you hear us say Torchwood Dam or Ledwood Dam, BK can give you a nice view of the dam and sort of all the surroundings. There's a vehicle there, but that's okay. We've positioned ourselves a little bit further away, a little bit higher up, if you like, just to ensure that we do get signal. There's other tawny bodies to the other side, so I think everybody's here, which means they've abandoned the carcass. So if they abandoned it last night, there might be absolutely nothing there but bones. I really wanted to catch up with the Djuma clan and the Talamatis, of course. I thought everyone was going to be there. But once the lions walk away, it's anybody's. Okay, so I'm going to quickly scoot round, check the carcass, and then we'll come back. But you guys are going to head over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy watching two hyenas that came down to drink. One of them is still visible while the other is just peering over the edge of a dam wall to make sure that it's safe. When I did look through my binoculars at this hyena, the face was still full of blood as well as the front legs, and the belly is really full, which suggests that they might have made a kill or scavenged something from somebody else. So in general, hyenas are quite well known for scavenging, and we find that when we have more than 4 hyenas for every lioness in the area, they tend to take over the prey item if there has been a kill made by lionesses. But interesting enough, when it comes to East Africa, it works the other way around. It's quite often the lions that actually steal from the hyenas when the hyenas make kills. And hyenas are actually very effective hunters. And they've also got the ability to suss out the slightest of weaknesses when it comes to choosing a prey animal. I just want to see what they're getting up to. Maybe it's some unrelated animals, as the two of them are now actually watching one another, and it seems that the other hyena is moving away. So we normally find that hyenas are territorial, and that there's often clashes between the other territories as well. One of the ways that they often mark their territories is by depositing large amounts of feces at the edge of their territorial boundary. They also quite often smear their anal glands onto grass stalks, which is another indication to tell the other group of hyenas to stay out of the area. It definitely seems that this other hyena is not too happy with the approach of the one that's moving towards it. One of the interesting things that I find about hyenas is that the females are actually larger, and one of the reasons why they believe that the females are larger is to protect their young against males. We also find that the females will dominate the males at all different ages. Even young males that are born is outranked immediately by an equal-aged female cub. One of the other things that I also find particularly interesting is that when it comes to competition between hyena cubs when they are born, is that if we have same-sex cubs, they quite often outcompete and kill one another, with the strongest then surviving. It's also one of the reasons why hyena cubs are born with teeth. However, if it's a male and female cub that is born, both of the cubs will be raised together and survive in that case. It seems that our hyenas are now moving off. Let's go and see what Tristan is up to.
Well, our hyenas have moved off. We're still trying to find another sign for this male leopard who've lost the track in the block. In this block on my right hand side, there's no indication of him coming out northwards, so I'm just checking now to make sure he hasn't popped out on the eastern side of the block. If nothing here, then we'll do virtual access again, just check Triple M in case I missed anything, then he hasn't crossed over, and if nothing there, then I think come back again and just do another loop round and try see if we can't find where he's gone. The game path that he took, unfortunately, is a very grassy, very thick kind of game path, and it dissipates into a little web and then comes back together again, and I can't pick him up kind of coming back onto the game path, so I don't know. It could very well be this time of the day. If it's Tingana, old male leopard just curled up in a little ball, just enjoying some sunshine now that's coming out. If it's Tabangumi, he could be hunting those impalas. I don't know. Just have to keep persevering. Like I said, there's nothing else we can do. Eventually we'll figure it out or find a sign. Luckily there is enough impalas and things around that if he should move, if he's still here and should move through that, then we should be able to pick it up. But there's definitely nothing coming out here, which is what I thought was going to be the case. This is his general direction the whole morning has been northwest. Well, the tracks have been going northwest, so it would be very odd if he started to turn straight east again, back into Djuma. I would have expected him to keep just pushing towards Baobab Dam, Baobab Camp, the gate, one-eyed pan on Simambili, somewhere there is what my gut feel is. And so we shall listen to my gut feel, because, well, instincts are always a good thing. And if you don't get it right, you don't get it right. But I think sometimes when you don't listen to your instincts, then you end up getting caught out sometimes. This state of indecision, which makes life a lot harder, so you might as well just go with what you feel, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Definitely hasn't come out here, David. So, if he hasn't come out here, and he hasn't come out there, and he hasn't come out the northern firebreak that I can see, then hopefully that means he's somewhere inside here. Now, I did have two hyenas just standing on the firebreak, staring down this way, or into this block, but they weren't really in any sort of hyped up activity, so it wasn't like they were running in to go and investigate something. So I don't really need to worry too much about them for now. But hyenas can always be a good thing, because if they're trailing leopards, then, you know, they know of a leopard, then they'll find it for you. I didn't follow them because they were just stationary and just kind of staring. I think they were in a state of frozen, and so they didn't really want to move too much there. I think they were just enjoying the sunshine as they were sitting on that open burn section. Alrighty. So we're back where we kind of started. Well, not where we started, but not a car I expected to see at this time of the day. Let's see his tracks just here. It's not a nice corner of that at all, because you can't see what's going on. Luckily, David, I was paying attention. Thank goodness. Were you paying attention, David? Well done. Glad that you were paying attention, David. One needs a co-pilot when doing the Dakar. Not joking. We most certainly are not doing the Dakar rally out here. Okay, so here's where he crosses in. It's just in front here. Nice, beautiful path that he takes, just going straight north. So just over here. This is where his track goes across and into the block up this way. So what we'll do is just do another loop around. Let's see. Otherwise, yeah, we'll just keep trying. Hopefully we'll get some luck eventually.
Hello, my name is Marnie Kell from the Greater Toronto Area of Ontario, Canada. I am most excited to meet some of the guides that I feel I already know. And I'm going to very much enjoy riding along with them to see what they see most days while they're broadcasting these safaris to us, while also staying at the beautiful Simbambili Lodge. WildEarth has brought so much to my life, and I am thrilled and grateful to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Sign up to be an explorer today, and it could be you jetting off on an all-expenses-paid-for safari experience. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I'm thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb, because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth safari guide from andBeyond Ngala. What I really like about connecting with WildEarth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the WildEarth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
Welcome back once more and welcome to your live safari. So, we decided to turn around from the area where we were going. Also, we couldn't hear those lions anymore calling. But then also the bad part that we have at this moment, we are currently experiencing some vehicle problems. And we'll slowly make our way back to camp. I mean, we don't really want to go. We still want to be out because it's such a beautiful morning. But maybe, who knows, it'll get fixed quickly and then maybe we'll head out again. But yeah, we don't want to go. It's so beautiful this morning. But as we slowly head back to camp, I'll just still keep an eye out on anything we can find along the way. Starting to warm up though. And as I said, some of these predators will be starting to look for places to rest at this moment. Alright, and as we slowly head back to the lodge, I'm going to quickly send you over to Lauren.
We're back at the dam. We went to the carcass, lots of vultures, hooded and whitebacks, and literally just the skull. It's amazing. It is incredible. There's nothing left. Skull and the horns. That's it. I think one vertebrae possibly, and really nothing else. And the bone is shining white. It has been cleaned from hyenas and vultures. And these guys are just trying to keep warm. The rocks are actually a very good place. They're dark. They will absorb heat, as much heat as they can. If that vehicle's leaving, we might get to get a little bit closer. Are you happy here, Beeks?
For now.
For now. The boss is happy for now. He's cold, but he's happy. Oh. Just makes you think about survival out here. Yeah, we've got duvets and blankets and hot water bottles and clothing. It really does make you think. So, Talamatis, what are you doing on Torchwood? They're not all sleeping. You see, this one's got its head up, beak. I can't see who they all are right now. We'll try and go through it. The 5 adults are quite easy to identify. The oldest lioness is very easy to identify. Blue Eye's easy. Not Cheer is easy. And the other 2, not so much. But you really can tell the difference between an adult and a sub-adult, and just their physique and size alone. So after we saw them the other day, they must have, I don't know, they've slowly ended up east Torchwood. The Torchwood Pride also come to Torchwood Dam. And they've obviously killed a buffalo. And lions want bigger prey. Yes, they will still take down impalas, scrub hares, anything in winter. They are cold. They are hungry. But bigger sort of animals like buffalo, zebra, giraffe, as I mentioned, that's what they need to keep the pride going through winter. I was really hoping to see some hyenas. I thought, this is my chance. I'm going to go and get to see the Talamatis and spend some time with the Djuma clan, and we can really see the clan. But sadly, that is not the case. The Djuma clan are really keeping me on my toes, that's for sure. Oh, hello, you. Immediately, look at the rear end. That's going to help you a lot. In the Talamati, there's 3 sub-adult males, so this is one of them. And they do all look remarkably different. Oh, you handsome boy. They've sort of got different stages of mane growth. I managed to get a really nice photo of all 3 of them in a line the other day. I'll try and post it, and you can see the sub-adult males are all different. There's only 3 of them, and you can see clearly they're not males. They look nothing like the avoca yet. They're sub-adults. One day we'll make a coalition of their own, I would imagine. Karen, no intruder male that we keep hearing about. I haven't seen. It's very tricky out here when you don't actually see the sightings or you don't see photos. But there does seem to be an intruder male that has been joining along with the Talamatis when dark mane's not there. It's all very interesting with the lion dynamics right now, to be perfectly honest with you. But sadly, when they're up in Buffelshoek, we can't follow right now. So I don't see any male, but there are 20 bodies everywhere. I've not done a proper body count, if that makes sense. Oh, Peaky, look at these 2 cuddling. Oh no, that's cute, guys. She just pushed that one. Oh. Lions can be terribly cute when they want to be. But we'll do our best. I do think they will all move at some point, so we'll do our best to try and identify who's here. Talamatis are easy to identify, I think. We've got a nice number. No sign of dark mane. Okay, I'm slowly starting to warm up a little bit. I'm defrosting. I imagine the Talamatis are too. But for now, we're going to send you over to JP on Bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. So one of the reasons when we came down to the dam for this morning was to come and look for the hippopotamus. But it seems that our hippo bull has now disappeared over the last 3 days. Here's some telltale signs that he used to be here at one point, and this is a dung that's been sprayed by a hippo bull. What we often find is when it comes to females as well as young seven-year-old males, that they will deposit their dung just simply down on the ground. However, when it comes to a male that potentially occupies a territory, they will spray it. And what we see is that they will spray it against the water line as well as away from the water. When it's like over here against the water line, it's possibly indicating a territory. But the moment that they move away from the water, it's generally used as a navigational purpose. Now they can use scent to orientate and navigate in the area. This is a dam behind us where he was occupying for quite a while, and I can't help to wonder what made him decide to go somewhere else. One of the reasons was possibly that the elephants was giving him a hard time, as they often came to swim in the dam, and they liked to actually chase him around. So these dams that we see over here, they're not only the lifeline to hippopotamus, but also to a wide range of other animals. We often have a number of different animals that will come and drink here, such as elephant. We also come and see warthog, waterbuck, and quite often we'll see even kudu as well as lion coming to frequent these dams. We also see one of the reasons why they like to frequent these dams in terms of predators is that they know that the prey animals are forced to come and drink over here. And many a time I have actually seen kills taking place in the middle of the day and during the winter at dams like this, as well as on areas close by to rivers, where the animals are forced to move through.
When you wrap, link back to Lauren and her lions.
We're going to start moving off, and in the meanwhile we're going to hand you back to Lauren and see what she and the lions are up to.
Slowly the lions are getting a little bit mobile. See? Moving towards each other for the cuddle-puddle. That buffalo really didn't last long. Sometimes lions, I remember the Nkuhumas killed a giraffe on power lines right next to our camp in Djuma. And they were on that kill for days on end. Hyenas everywhere, vultures everywhere. The avokas, including Blondie and Mohawk. I walked that sighting on foot. Once the lions had left, naturally, I did that sighting on foot, on bushwalk, with Chet. And we walked the Djuma clan. It was really quite special, and that sighting lasted a really long time, but this buffalo seems to have just been demolished. And quickly. Look at that one at the back. It's like a teddy bear. It's been a strange transition for me because when I first came here, I mean, it's fast approaching 3 years now, it was really Nkuhuma land. It was always the Nkuhumas. You heard about the Talamatis, but they were very much Bufosuk. We couldn't traverse Bufosuk, and they never, ever came onto Djuma for the first year and a half I was here. It was very much all Nkuhuma land. They were very dominant. We spent hours with the Nkuhumas, quite an intimate relationship. And things changed, and I sometimes feel that's what people don't realize. Animals move. They're in a constant state of flux with their environment and their territories. And the Nkuhumas really did start just pushing down south. We really don't get to see them that much anymore, as well as Blondie and Mohawk. Occasionally we do. But I would personally not say that Djuma's Nkuhuma land anymore. It's very much the Talamatis. The Nkuhumas pop in, but they really don't come as far north as they used to, or spend as much time around sort of quarantine, that core area, as they used to. It's just shifted, natural shifts. And things are changing with the lion dynamics, as they will. Of course they will. Darkmane's been seen further down than he ever has, down south. Is he possibly just going to join his brothers? Tristan was mentioning the other day that he thinks the Avoca Coalition might have split. I'm not sure. I just think Darkmane hasn't spent any time with them, but it would be really interesting to see the three of them meet and observe the interactions. Immediately you'll be able to tell. But Darkmane was seen very, very far down south, and he's ever gone. He normally stays Bufosok, Djuma. A little bit west sometimes, a little bit east sometimes, but he's been seen really far down south. It's all very interesting. But things never stay the same. The animals have got to make a decision for whatever suits their survival in their environment at that point in time. It's been nice to get to know the Talamatis. I definitely knew the Nkuhumas very well, and then I hardly spend any time with the Nkuhumas anymore. I mean, in 2019, they all denned on Djuma. The Nkuhumas, from Amber Eyes, Purple Eye, Chela, Ridge Nose, they all denned on Djuma. Every single one of them. I remember it all. I remember all the spots, all the locations that each lioness chose. And it was a wonderful year for the Nkuhumas. It boosted them. They were thriving. And they still are. But every single den was on Djuma. And Djuma's small. I mean, it's not this huge, massive, thousands upon thousands of hectares land. But things have naturally changed. And of course, it's changed with the Talamatis too. Some of the lionesses do have cubs, but they're staying very far north. Are they keeping the cubs away from Darkmane? Very, very possibly. It's about survival. Daisy Darkmane wouldn't do anything. He does reside, as we know it, over both prides, Talamatis and Nkuhumas. And I'll never forget the one sighting that I actually had in the Mara, because it's a perfect example. Some of you will remember this, and I got really, really unwell. So Patrick took over, and it was lions on a hippo. And the hippo was in the river, one of the sort of Mara tributaries, and the hippo was dead, obviously. And it was on a territorial boundary between two prides. So both prides came to this hippo. And my goodness, it was such a fight. Lots of cubs lost their lives. And why it was so sad is I had sat and taken individual photos of the cubs to try and get ID. We work hard on IDs here. It's not easy. And to try and, figure out who's who and what's going on. And within an hour of Patrick taking over that sighting, all those cubs were dead. And Pat witnessed them dying. And the males, the point of me telling you this is the males, the residing coalition over those two prides, did nothing. It was the lionesses that fought and the lionesses that killed. The males didn't really do anything. It was the coalition that resides over both of the prides. And it was a clash. That sighting will still be available online for those of you that maybe didn't see it. It's very intense, and not for the sensitive viewers, but for those that will remember it, the males didn't do anything. I think they had a little scuffle, but it's not, it was a clash between the two prides of lionesses, and lionesses are a force to be reckoned with. So Darkmane essentially would do nothing. He's on his own as well. He's single. But he wouldn't fight or choose to protect one pride over the other. Oh, are we going back in for cuddles again? See? She keeps trying to get the other lioness to... Oh, that's too cute. Okay, we're going to sit here with our Talamati prize, and hopefully they wake up soon.
Well, while Lauren has got cuddly lions, we have her favorite animal in the form of two very fat hyenas that are coming down the road. I don't know where they're heading. These are the same two we had coming out of Buffelshoek just now. They're looking very full and very happy with life, and also just plodding. I don't know if they're wanting to kind of head anywhere or if they're up to something. It doesn't look like it. They just look like they're ambling along. And this is what they do pretty much all night long, is amble like this until such time as they find what they're looking for, which is either, little cubs at a den if they've mothers, or if it's food that they can potentially go after. But they're good animals to have around, if their behavior changes, that they're on to something. Can help with finding things like leopards sometimes. Right, let's try catch up with them a little bit. Weirdly enough, there's another vehicle with us. Just kind of... What's wrong? Sorry guys, I just want to... Is it working, that one? Is this one working?
Yes, this is for me.
Okay.
I like to borrow this one, so I'm going to take after the drive, I'm going to put on the charger. After that, I'm going to borrow you again.
Okay, perfect, no problem.
Because I'm struggling to call you.
Okay, no worries, use this one.
It's working, this one?
I don't know if it is, but try it. Okay. Sorry guys, we're just trying to sort out radios.
No, for my radio it's working.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Because I'm trying to call you for long time. I didn't pick up your message. So I think maybe your radio is a little bit scored off.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Whit.
Okay, cheers.
Sorry guys, so we're just trying to sort things out because we have a radio problem at the moment on Game Drive where some guys' radios are working and others aren't. So these guys are... these hyenas stink, David. One of them obviously dropped something there. Anyway, we'll catch up with them quickly. Hoping that this handheld works for us, then we're able to actually talk to the guys. So we're trying to track a leopard together, but it's very difficult if we can't talk. All right, we'll see what these hyenas get up to, and hopefully they'll lead us to something. All right, well, our hyenas have just cut off into the bush, so I'm going to try and see what they're up to. Where are you guys heading? They smell bad. They're full and fat, and I think that's because they're passing gas. I think that's why they smell so stinky this morning. I wonder if they came from the north, so it wasn't like they came from the buffalo and the lions and all of that stuff. Doesn't seem like it, at least. Interesting. They're not on a mission of like, we know something's here. They're just trotting, or not trotting, but bumbling. Bumbling's a good word for it right now. So they aren't really in a huge mission to get somewhere. This light, David, is blinding. I'm sure it was June that was in France, which is what Jared has just confirmed for me. And Cacao was the one at the back. I'm not going to off-road through here, David. It's not going to happen, I'm afraid. It's difficult enough off-roading for a leopard through here. Hyenas will just start trotting and we'll never keep up with them, I'm afraid. So we're still trying to find this leopard. We found very nice tracks for Shidulu crossing into Arathusa. Unfortunately, she was milling around on the main road and then scent marking a bit, and then she went into Arathusa. So the guy said they'll keep us updated if she turns more towards Simambili side. Other than that, this male leopard is just giving us the runaround. This track's kind of going in different directions, so we're just trying to figure out who exactly it is and whether it's two males or is it one. So yeah, and it's made compounded because for some reason the Game Drive repeater is down for some vehicles but not others, and so talking to guys is near impossible. Well, I can't talk to anyone, so we just had a meet up with one of the Djuma guides who's given us their handheld. They say it is working, so that we can talk to them, because otherwise it's impossible for us to figure out what's going on. And when you're following tracks with somebody, if you can't talk to them, it can be very frustrating, because imagine if we find it, we can't actually tell anybody that we have what we're looking for, and the other poor guy is driving around. So now that we've got a radio, it should make things a lot easier from that standpoint. These hyenas are the same hyenas I had all the way in the beginning of drive that came from, like I say, Buffelshoek all the way through. So if there was something like a leopard around, we probably would have found them interacting with it. And the fact that they're not, it tells me that this leopard maybe is not close by, or if it is close by, it's not exactly active, it's just curled up. It hasn't been seen or shouted at yet. And hyenas haven't then found it. It would be interesting if they cut through towards where it's access again, if they pick up the trail and they start kind of backtracking on the trail. It would be quite surprising if they did that. It would certainly help us, because if they start going onto the actual leopard's trail, then following them can be a worthwhile exercise, and also tell us whether or not those tracks are fresh, because the hyena won't waste its time if it's not fresh. Sharon, not that I've ever seen. I'm trying to think, there's maybe, I suppose it's possible. So I see the one guy was walking. I was going to check here. So yeah, Sharon, I suppose it's possible that a nomadic leopard has gone back and become territorial. But yeah, it's not that I've ever can remember. They generally just hang out. They don't actually become super territorial and chase other leopards away. That's more just that they start to move and their territory shifts, so it kind of changes a little bit. Not that it actually is completely they move into a massive new area. They just shift slowly kind of from the edge of their own territory, and they just push and expand a certain way. So if you look at like Tingana, for example, started in the west and then slowly just edged his way eastwards. And if you see with Tortoise Pan now, it's a very similar thing. All I see is hyena tracks here. I don't see leopard tracks, but if they had leopard tracks crossing here, then it's the right tracks for us, because these tracks came in here, and if they cross there, then they're the right ones. So I'm quite keen to see whether or not, but I'm going to need to talk to the guys on the radio just to know exactly where those tracks crossed. Alright, I'm going to just get onto the radio, find out exactly what's going on, and in the meantime, let's send you across to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. So yesterday on our walk we were discussing a number of different tracks, and we were mainly focusing on the difference between leopard and lion. So another animal that we can potentially confuse leopards and lion with when it comes to tracks is that of the spotted hyena that we have in this area. So if you have a closer look over here, there's a few things I'm going to point out which we can look at, how they differ. So firstly, we can see this is a hind foot over here and a front foot over here. So there's a big difference in terms of size when we compare the front and the hind of a specific individual animal compared to that of leopard and lion. When we also look at the back end of the pads, we don't see the three neat little lobes which we see with the leopard and lion, but only two. And we also see that the back part of the pad is quite slanted. And then if we look a little bit closer, we don't have that same round or tear-shaped impression of male as well as female leopard and lion, but a more kidney-shaped toe. And then lastly, hyenas also have nails, which we don't see with leopard as well as lion. And here we can see at the tip of the toe where the nail has been marking. What I do find quite interesting is when they walk, they put their opposite foot, hind foot, close by to the front foot, and it's a very interesting way how they walk. And what we also see quite often with them is when they, with the shape of their body, is that they're quite large in the front and sloping backs. And that's just firstly to support the heavy forequarters, but also we see that it's there to be able to tear off pieces of meat and then carry that away. But the slope axis that their back has also enables them to run at a very energy efficient rate, which is another way that they can conserve energy. So some of the other tracks that we have over here belongs to the giraffe. Here we can see some of the tracks here as well. An incredibly large track, sometimes up to 30 centimeters long. And here we can see a little bit of soil that has been raised in the front part of the foot, which is one of the telltale signs of giraffe. Often confused with buffalo, but it's much more rectangular, much longer, and also sometimes you can potentially confuse it with Cape eland, which is one of the largest antelope species in South Africa. However, this is also a much shorter track and and also rectangular in shape. And we generally find that we don't have this raised soil impression of eland, as well as part of the hoof is slightly longer with eland on the one side compared to the inner side of the track. So we're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find, and let's see what the others are up to.
Suspended above Kenya's Masai Mara is a breathtaking lodge where unrivaled service goes hand in hand with extraordinary wildlife sightings. Ngala Mara offers a quiet place where guests have the opportunity to reconnect with the world again. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer before the end of July, and you and a friend could win a 3-night stay at this award-winning lodge. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. The importance of forests cannot be underestimated. Over 1 billion people live in and around forests, depending on them for fuel, food, medicine, and building materials. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is the national implementer for a program called LEAF. The LEAF program makes use of indigenous forests grown on school properties to teach pupils about biodiversity. This directly instills a sense of ownership of the natural surroundings and reconnects children with our biomes and heritage. WESA needs your help to bring nature back to schools. Ask your school to join the program through the link on their website. Together with WESA, you can help take this incredible program to schools across the country.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
We're still sitting here with our sleeping lionesses. I'm really warming. I mean, I'm not warm, but I'm warming up. So they also must be warming up to some extent. They really just have chosen the perfect spot. It's nice and open. Everybody else is over here. I don't know who. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's about it. I don't really know who's here and who's not here, to be honest. But Torchwood Dam, just to give you some context, is just sort of below First Rock. First Rock's quite nice and high. And that's where Maribs grew up, pretty much. And that's where the name comes from, of the rock, because he was always on First Rock. And First Rock is really beautiful. It's the only sort of spot in the northern sands that's like that. And he doesn't seem to be spending too much of his time here anymore. He seems to be spending a lot of it on Chitwa. Loves a guinea fowl on Chitwa. But Torchwood Dam is just underneath First Rock, behind us. We can't give you a view. That's where First Rock is. So just to give you some context. I think Tandy still spends a lot of time on Torchwood, but not so much Mareebs anymore. He is just loving life on Chitwa, living his best life. Ollie, I'm pretty sure I've already answered that question, but it's Talamatis here. Depends what area you're referring to. But in terms of Djuma, our little property, it's 1,200 hectares, it's the Talamatis now, I would say. Do you know, you never know what will happen by next year. You know, animal behaviour, animals' movements, it all depends on a large number of external factors. From pressure, competition, resources. So many things, even environmental changes. Depends on a lot of factors. The smell of that buffalo carcass was surreal. I could smell it long before we reached that carcass. Oof, it was not pleasant. Chloe, lionesses absolutely chase males away. Regularly. It's lionesses that will often change their behaviour towards the sub-adult males during the sort of time when the males are ousted. Lionesses often swat males, get aggressive with males. Again, it all depends on the dynamics. It's a very sort of broad question. I mean, is it during a takeover? Is it during mating? Is it just during feeding? Lionesses really hold their ground. But their sole drive is to protect themselves, each other, and naturally the offspring. They'll do whatever it takes. But yes, of course, lionesses chase males away all the time, especially a young male. If it's a young male that's trying to intrude, I haven't seen him, I haven't even seen photos of him. They really don't want him there, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of lionesses here. If they didn't want one male there, they would chase him away. But they're also cautious of the males. They know how damaging these males can really be. And there will come a time when life for these 3 sub-adult boys will change. They'll slowly start to get sort of ousted from the pride, and they'll go off. Most likely as a unit, but who knows? Most likely as a band of relatives. There's 3 of them. They'll go off, and it'll be time to explore, be a bit nomadic, and then slowly start your coalition. I lied about being warm. I'm not at all. I'm actually shivering here. It's got cold again. You can probably hear it in my voice. I lied. It's not warm. It's amazing how far the telematis are travelling now. Very far. And considering they really never used to push down south, they've been seen on Chitwa now, Sembambili, Arthusa, Torchwood. We're really travelling far, these guys. Colleen, you say you can't believe they're the same colour as the grass. They are, 100%. Lions camouflage well in winter. And summer too, but winter really with that sort of dead grass, monotonous colour. Their tawny bodies really blend in. Especially when they're flat. You could easily drive past them. It's normally the swishing of the tail or the ears that you sort of pick out and think, oh, there's lions. Why are you guys moving to go into the shade? I'm really not understanding this. I would want to stay in the sun if I was a lion. Oh, okay. It's so nice to have a sighting on the rocks. It's nice to see a cat on the rocks. Okay, we're going to sit here a little bit longer with our lion pride, and we're going to send you guys over to Tristan.
Well, while Lauren stays with the pride, we found ourselves a herd. We're still trying to figure out where this leopard's gone. We have tracks kind of coming towards where these elephants are. So we're just sitting now trying to get some semblance of warmth. I've been very jealous of Lauren. She hasn't had to drive around in such cold weather. She's been able to sit and enjoy her lions in the sunshine. But David and I have been bumbling along. It's cold this morning. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're in the sunshine now and we're static, which is a good thing. And the elephants are always a welcome sight. They're taking it very, very easy. You can see that most of them are on top of a termite mound. They're actually on the termite mound that we like to look for. Tingana or Tavangumi, both of them like to sit on this mound. And so they're just having a bit of a feed and pruning the grasses so that the next time one of the boys sits on there, it will be at least an unobstructed view of them. There's a certain grass that they are finding. Thought I saw something on the road down there, but I didn't. That's why I just stopped. I'm trying to just see. What is that? It's just a bush, David. From my angle, it looked like a leopard just on the side of the road, kind of scent marking, but it's just a bush. It was the moment of, that looks awesome, and then, you know, that letdown is always the worst. The one nice thing about this morning, though, while it is cold, air temperature-wise, at least there isn't a horrible wind. The wind is down at the moment, so it's at least keeping it fairly warm. That will mean that the elephants and things like that will be out a lot more. They'll enjoy kind of standing in the sunshine. They won't be in too thick an area as they warm up themselves. But on top of that, they're also going to be trying to, you know, feed. And if it's not windy, they can start to utilize areas that that they haven't used the last couple of days. It's been quite windy yesterday afternoon, and the morning were fairly breezy. All right, David, let me just go back a little bit for you because I haven't given you a great gap for the elephants in front here. No, don't leave. Sorry, David, you're getting the one with the bottom.
That's all right.
I know it's not creatively inspiring, but that's what you're getting for now, I'm afraid.
So be it.
So be it, exactly. I'm hoping they're eventually going to come across back onto the road here. It doesn't seem like they actually crossed here. They look like they're coming from that side. So movement or direction should be towards us on Djuma. They're coming out of Simambili at the moment towards our side. Amazingly, tracks for Shadulu, those ones that we saw crossing here at Triple M going in, they are so far already. She's on a serious mission, walking all the way kind of far to the west, and then has turned south and is now going into a drainage line called the Marakeng. And the Marakeng drainage is a drainage that I would be surprised if she's got her cubs in. I know of leopards that have put their cubs there before, but it's just a long way from where she had that killed and a long way from kind of the areas that she's been inhabiting, and a little closer towards Tiani's side. I suspect maybe she's just doing a little boundary patrol, and then she'll bend back and start coming into that more centralized area. From there, if she cuts over Madash, she comes back towards these little horrible drainages that are around Arathusa, that are horrible for cars, but absolutely perfect drainage lines for leopards. David, let me try and get you a better view. There's a little mite drain in here that we can maybe slide into. Maybe we'll get a much better looking. There's an elephant right here. I'm sorry, elephant, I caught you mid-morning break. Lovely. Oh, that's delightful, David.
Lovely.
It is lovely, isn't it? Doop. And out it goes. There we go. At least the elephant's out in the open and not obscured by 1,000,001 branches. Does it have a little wound on its bum? Or is it just like a... It does have a little wound. It's interesting. Probably from a tusk of another one. Often when these young males are fighting, they push their tusks into their behinds and they kind of pull their heads up, and that can sometimes cause a little cut, although it's on both sides there. I wonder. Weird. They're very superficial. I mean, it's nothing too damaging. Wonder what happened here. There's a few old, I mean, they're old wounds these, they're not fresh by any stretch of the imagination. But I wonder if maybe this poor Ellie wasn't attacked by lions at some point. It's possible. Anyway, we're going to keep with our elephants. We'll see what they do and where they go and how they meander in the morning light. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Angus and Phinda to say good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Phinda. We are following a pride of lions, and in the area we are, sometimes the signal may dip and get a little bit better, but at the moment I think we can stay with them. I'm just going to pull off onto the side of the road so we can keep still and watch them. So this is the same lions that we were with yesterday, but the rest of the pride we only saw the male, and he's since gone off on his own. But it looks like now, it seems like there's two mothers and their respective youngsters. So these lionesses are quite old. They're about 10 and 11 years old, both the mothers, and they big lionesses. They are likely sisters. And the one has a set of sub-adult cubs with her. This is the mountain pride. So the one lioness I saw, her 4 younger cubs aren't moving around with him, which is quite interesting. It seems like the 3 subadults are here closer to the back. Notice they're a little bit smaller than the 2 in front. It's raining a little bit as well. But what a beautiful scene. It's awesome to be able to watch a pride of lion walk up the road in front of you. And lions on the move is probably one of the better sightings to see in the bush. And the reason why I think that is because basically anything can happen. Lions are extremely opportunistic animals in terms of hunting. So if they were to come across something, they would probably try and hunt it. And they also haven't eaten very much. I don't think they ate last night, but they did catch something the night before. But at that point, the male was with them who we saw yesterday. Male was yesterday. So it's possible that she could be moving around with these ones, trying to stay with him for
blinking and live.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy looking at the remains of Corkwood, it's also known as a canidoot, which has been pushed over by elephants. So the name Corkwood implies that the wood is fairly light, and the Afrikaans name canidoot means that the tree barely dies. And quite often, if it has been pushed over, it will still continue growing, as what you can see over here. So elephants are quite often will dig or push these trees over to get to the roots during the dry season, as the roots store quite a large amount of water. That's also one of the trees I was taught in survival school to go and look for if you are in need of water or something to feed on, because you can eat both the roots as well as get sufficient amount of fluid out of it. If we look at the tree over here, this is the remains of it, and it will most likely start regrowing as soon as it becomes a little bit warmer, when it starts pushing out leaves again. I also find it very interesting that you can also find a number of insects that associate with this tree. And one of those insects is a group of beetles as known to the genus Phinda. And what they do is they'll feed on the leaves and then they'll drop down to the ground, and then they will pupate at the base of a tree close by to the roots. Now, what you can do with those little beetles is dig them up. And this is specifically a practice that we find with the sand hunters, that we find in the Kalahari. And they would dig these beetles up, and they will often put them in a cotton-like substance which is created by the nest, from the nest of a small little bird. And then that's placed inside a horn, and once they need the grub to make a poison, they'll break open these little pupers and then put the toxin to the back end of the arrow. Up till today, there's still no antidote for that specific toxin. I also find it particularly interesting is when they do apply the poison, they do so away from the main area where everybody is living, to ensure that nobody else can by accidentally get poisoned or stabbed with an arrow.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Speaking.
Well, unfortunately, we've had to leave our Ellies. We decided to leave them, and they went into very, very dense area, and there was no way to follow them without really disturbing them. So we decided just to leave it at that. And it was Short Trunk's herd, which was quite cool. So she was there as well. I didn't actually notice her at first, but she came in front of us on the road. It's always a treat to see her and that she's doing well. And now we're just thinking about what we're going to do. I can't get hold of anybody with this tracking stuff with the leopards, so we've checked the area. There's no further tracks that we can see. Tracks have been driven over, walked on, so now for me it's kind of difficult when I can't see where they've gone, and I know that others have driven over them, but I have no idea which direction they've been taken with them. So I think we're going to just go to a new area altogether and go and explore a little bit. We'll head towards sort of Treehouse Dam, hoping they can get the radios fixed and sorted out by this afternoon. Hyena tracks going in. Even though we're kind of moving slowly out of the area, always just keep an eye out just in case, because maybe we miss something and that male's track comes across into an area where we can see it. Although this is now Arathusa, so anything crossing this road is not going to be great for us. We're not going to be able to follow it, unfortunately. Jessica, because I can't see on the left-hand side of the road, there's a massive car in the way. So yes, that's why I look on the right side. But what you'll notice is that when I'm looking on the right side, what I'm looking for is any sign of things going over, because I can see, it doesn't matter whether it's going left or right. I can see the track here and then I can get out and look. And if I see something's walking on that I like to look at, then I just do this. And then by magic, I now have the whole road to be able to see from the right-hand side. It's a pretty special skill set to have. So yeah, that's why. It's because I can see out this side and because I'm placed on the right side. It's not that we don't look on the left. I can assure you that while we're driving, my eyes will check from the left side all the way across to the right side, just to make sure that I'm doing a sweep of what I can see. It's not to say that we don't miss tracks. I'm, only one person on the car, and I don't have somebody on the front. If you've got a track on the front, it makes life a lot easier to be able to see tracks, because they can see them before you drive over them. But yeah, it's the reason why we look out the right, is just because, quite simply, I can see better on the right-hand side. Some dwarf mongoose, David. Very lovely. They're doing what we were doing just now with the elephants, which is sunning ourselves, exactly. David and I, we're being like little meerkats on this car, just like soaking up some sunshine and hoping not to freeze to death. That sneaky cold wind is just getting up now. I'm sure it's this wind that's coming off the mountains where all the snow is. It's going to get chilly, I think, during the course of today. I don't think it's going to ease up. And the mongoose have the right idea. Just take it easy, get onto a mound, have a little sunbathe, warm up, and then you'll be able to be active. Go and look for little food items. Pickings are slim for these little guys, comparatively speaking, at this time of the year. The winter doesn't have as many little grubs and beetles and insects running around, but they're pretty resourceful little creatures. These insects have to live somewhere through the winter to kind of survive, and so they'll dig and try and find food that way. So underground pretty much is where they're looking at the moment. Anyway, we'll leave them to sun themselves. In the meantime, let's send you across to Angus with a slightly larger carnivore.
Welcome back to Phinda, everyone, and this is turning out to be an incredible sighting. See, there's a little subadult lion moving right past us here. Most of them are moving behind us, but I haven't actually introduced myself yet. I'm Angus, and behind the camera today is Johan, and we're going to just try and... There's a big open floodplain off to our left-hand side, and there's a lot of planes going there. What we'll definitely do is try and stay with them. It looks like they're heading towards the edge of that area, and they definitely have already spotted some wildebeest. So from up there, they'll might be able to try and plan a route in terms of where they want to go towards next. Often predators, if they spot an animal from far away, especially their pride, if there are a lot of them and they are hungry, which they probably are at the moment, can see some wildebeest off ahead of me on the plains. And I'll just show you the lions now, and you can see a very steep drop off. They're the lions off to my left. Very drop off. They're the lions off to my left. See, a lot of them are crouched down low in stalk mode. This is crazy. I'm so happy. See, even though they're about a kilometer away from these wildebeest, these cubs are making sure they're very well hidden. What a beautiful scene. See this lioness coming in now? She's staying very low. And she's an experienced lioness, so it's not just the cubs that are worried about. Look at her stalking. With so many lions, it's possible they'll need to catch quite often. I mentioned 2 nights ago they caught something, but their tummies don't look very big and full. You can see from up here they could even be very patient. From up here they have a good view. If these wildebeest throughout the course of the day start moving towards the trees, then they would have quite a nice opportunity to drop down. Along the hillside there's a lot of trees and cover for them. But if they were to try and cross this floodplain towards those wildebeest, I don't think they would actually have such a good chance of catching anything, just because there's no cover for them. But these wildebeest will probably move around throughout the day. Wow. I love spending time with lions, especially going on the move like this. I wonder how long they are going to stay here. Might just be a game of patience from now. It's a little bit windy, a little bit of rain starting to fall now too. Sometimes the wind can make prey animals like wildebeest a little bit more on edge. It stops them from hearing as well as they usually do, so it does make them nervous. Isabella, yes, definitely. So these lionesses I mentioned earlier, the older 2 here, they're only a little bit older than you, Isabella. The one is 10 and the other one I think is 11 years old. You can see the lioness on the very right of your shot, and the one that's sitting up at the back with a little bit of a bulge on its right elbow. They are the 2 older lionesses, and they are the leaders of this pride. So a male will look after the pride, but when the pride is moving around like this, the male's not even here, and they are definitely the leaders at the moment. The males are basically like the protectors of the pride, but it seems like the females decide when to move around and where to go. And they also do most of the hunting. So to say the least, lionesses are really cool animals. They kind of like a matriarch. I wouldn't call it a matriarch society like elephants are, but they definitely have a big part to play in the dynamics of a pride and making big decisions for the whole pride. See, this is one of the youngsters. Let's see how the lionesses react to this one moving around. You can also see another herd of wildebeest, but they're very far away in the distance. So, geez, it's coming right past us. It's going to come off to my right here. It's like 2 meters from me. Wow. Let's try and get a shot of this one, Jan. Look over to my right. This is like a Lion King scene. Wow. And it seems like, as you can see, the younger ones, like this one that's come past me, one of the sub-adults, is a lot more impatient. So the females are lying down. Those wildebeest in the distance are very, very far away, like I've mentioned before. And it's definitely in their lion's interest to just take it easier and take it slow. But I think this young one, who is only about 15 months old, is letting impatience get the better of her. I've seen it so often when young lions will ruin a hunt because they don't follow the lead of their mothers and the lionesses. So what are we going to do? We're going to stick with these lions for a little bit longer and send you off to someone else. Rain is starting to fall a little bit now.
My name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, 2 to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed. We've crossed into Chitwa. We actually tried to maneuver around the Talamatis to get you the views of the other tawny bodies and completely lost signal. It's a tricky one. It's not a real stable area for us. But we definitely, they're flat, they're sleeping, and hopefully they'll cross back into Djuma, or at least get a little bit mobile for this afternoon. You see that grey heron up there, Beaks? Yeah, it just landed. I actually prefer this side of Chitwa Dam. It's the other side, it's the southern side. You go all the way across the dam wall, and for some reason I actually prefer this side. There's lots of great bird activity. There's always hippos, a separate little pod. We are going to probably have to move a little, Beaks, to let a vehicle past. Oh, the geese. You can always rely on the Egyptian geese to be having an argument of some sorts. They're so entertaining. You know, one of the worst avian fights I've ever seen was between Egyptian geese. It was horrifying. It was actually at Chitwa. It was a real fight between the males, and oh, that was some sighting. I'll never forget that. It was very aggressive. Let's just take a moment to listen. There's so many incredible sounds around the dam, and BK will work his magic. Patty, you're saying Egyptian geese always have something to alarm for. I don't even think they're alarming. I think they're just incredibly vocal birds. They've always got something to say. Yes, absolutely. You know, they're very common out here. We don't always stop for them, but when they're in full swing, they are hilarious. That one's like, I need a bath, but it's really cold. I'm just going to dunk myself in as quickly as possible and get out. But Chitwa's a really great property for us to check right now. Signals booming and lots of leopard activity. It's always worth just popping in. We were very close when we were on Torchwood. It's always worth just coming by the dam. Mr. Maribs will be somewhere. Where? I don't know, but he'll be somewhere. Are you warming up now, Beaks? Yeah, me too. That sun is becoming quite delightful. Thank goodness. hope you enjoyed that peaceful moment by Chitwa Dam. We are just going to scratch around Chitwa a little bit before heading back to Djuma, and we're going to send you guys over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. At the moment we're watching a group of some 5 giraffe, and they're basically going from knob fawn to knob fawn, and what they're doing is feeding on the flowers, which is an incredible rich source of nectar which is fueling them at this time. Here we also got a bull that is following the female, and over here at the moment you can see his head is down very close by to her private parts, and he's busy sampling some of the urine. Let's have a look at what he's going to do. He's most likely going to tilt up his head and wrinkle back the nostrils and stick out the tongue. And what he's basically doing is assessing her reproductive status. We often refer to this as a phlegm and grimace. One of the things that I do find quite interesting with the giraffes is that when they are looking for females, the males will often follow these groups. Good morning, Nathan, and welcome to the show. How would we know if they're annoyed? Generally, they would move away from us. They tend to be actually very relaxed, but when they're annoyed with predators, they will actually sometimes produce a sound. And that's the only time that I've actually ever heard them making sounds, as when they are under threat of a predator. And then they start bellowing quite loudly. Otherwise, they're quiet, or they just simply move off, as I mentioned. Giraffe is actually very relaxed animals. They don't easily get disturbed by anything other than lion. We also find quite often if we are standing in positions where we are fairly in the open, well, actually we'll walk closer to come and investigate and see what you are. So we call that a predator inspection. So it's always best to rather keep your eyes onto a potential threat than to let it disappear in front of you, and that it has an element of surprise in its favor against you as a prey animal. Our bull is still sampling the female's urine and seeing if she's in a reproductive state. I also find it quite interesting that's other than for food of high quality, it's one of the few reasons why giraffes will actually form large groups. We also find as soon as that they've mated with the females, or as soon as the food source has been depleted in that area, they will generally split off and move into separate directions, as there's no fixed social organization in their grouping. One of the other things that I find particularly interesting about the male giraffes is that they generally will eat, and they're not really focused about the quality of the food that they eat on. However, the females, they're very picky about what they want, and the reason why is that they can get into a good condition that they can actually become receptive, compared to the bulls that don't have to worry about that. So as a female, you need to be in a good condition so that you can go in estrus, but also to undergo an incredibly long gestation period of some 15 months before you're going to drop your calf. It seems that the male has now lost interest and he's moving into a different direction. We're just going to watch our giraffe a little bit longer and see what they get up to.
We're just driving by one of the open areas. I love open areas. I'm just going to position myself a little bit up here and give you guys a beautiful view. This is Chitwa Open. It's very quiet. Normally there's lots of antelopes and lots of various different species, but I must say it's very quiet. What do you think here, Beaks? Beaky's going to give you a beautiful view of the open area as we sit here continue to try and warm up a little bit on this extremely cold morning. Isn't it stunning? I'm gonna scratch around here. It's very quiet. You never know, there could be a predator nearby.
Well, we've got ourselves a little owl, which is very exciting. Haven't seen much this morning, but this certainly makes up for it. I always like owls. They're very, very cute little things, and especially when they're all fluffy and cold, and they've got their kind of bodies fluffed up. It's a little pearl-spotted owlet that we've got there. You can see that it's having a little look in the grass. You also can notice its little black false eyes at the back while it's kind of staring down. Now, for an owl to be sitting out in the open like this at 9 o'clock in the morning is very, very odd. These guys don't typically like to be out in the open because they get bombarded by a whole host of other birds. And so you'll find that they normally, at this time, will find a little shady section or a part of the tree where they can get right up against the main stem, and then they just camouflage. Like, gather because of how cold it is this morning, I think this little bird is just trying to warm up as much as possible. You can see its feathers are all puffy. It's just trying to absorb as much heat as it can. I imagine it must be so cold for a little bird like that. I mean, I know they're insulated with feathers, but their bodies are small. Change in temperature must be quite extreme for them. I wonder if it's going to stay there for much of the day or if it eventually will get chased. I'm sure there's going to be a naughty drongo that's going to come along and decide to bully it. David, is its eyes closed? I can't see. No, I see, no, they're open now.
Yeah, they are.
It's kind of looking down into the grass. I wonder if there's not also something moving about below it that's intriguing it. Beautiful coloured eyes, these guys with a bright, bright yellow. Johnny, they can, if not so much now at this time of the year because a lot of the animals are pretty well developed, but if we get these cold fronts in the summer months when it's the birthing for young antelope, and the antelope are still very little, then you can often get deaths in the little babies. So when you get those kind of days that are 40 degrees Celsius and then you get a crash down to like 20 overnight, that shock to those little babies can often cause them to die. Birds as well. And certain little chicks and things like that can struggle. And then also, funny enough, cold fronts that have huge amounts of overcast, wet weather. If we get too many days of rain and cold, then a lot of birds, like swallows particularly, can die from that because they are not able to fly. And because of their high metabolic rate due to the nature of the way that they fly and how they find food, if they can't do that, then they can also die. So I've seen that happen a few times as well. Little swallows dying from just basically too much rain and overcast conditions. But in this time of the year, no, not really. Most of the animals have developed strong enough immune systems to deal with it. It's not to say that if we didn't get a freak weather system, which I don't know of it ever happening here in the Sabi Sands, where it's snowed or gotten hugely cold, or to that point, but maybe if it started to get to the point where it was kind of freezing, we might see an issue with animals dying. But in the summer months, it does happen. You get a very hot to very cold very quickly. Little baby animals often can't cope with that change. What's wrong, David? No. You're all right there?
Very good.
Okay, I was wondering what was going on there. You were shuffling in your seat like something was wrong. Thought maybe there was an ant that had gotten in your pants, or you know, maybe you had worms or something. I don't know that. It's odd when cameramen shuffle behind you when you're talking. It's like out of the corner of your eye, you just see this movement. They normally sit quite still in the back there. Typically unruly, most of them. Except David. You? Never. David says he's a good boy, everybody. Don't believe a word of it. He's the main instigator. Treehouse Dam has got very little. That is, there is a hammerkop, David. Should we do birding? We've done a pearl-spotted owlet. Let's go look at a hammerkop. Hopefully it will not fly away as we come round this corner. There's also 2 Egyptian geese, David. Very exciting. Hold on to your hats, everybody. We're about to get crazy. I'll even line them up, David, so that you can, I suppose we're not... No, Rusty, stop squeaking. There we go. So, hammerkop on its little log, and the Egyptian geese that are behind it. And the hammerkop, I'm sure, much like most birds this morning, is just taking it easy for now. There's not been a flurry of activity from anyone. I haven't seen a lot of birds flying this morning. It seems like most that we have seen have all just been kind of puffed and sitting in the sun and feeling very sorry for themselves, which is understandable. But luckily they have feathers, which will keep them nice and warm. Although I don't envy any of the wading birds getting those little cold, those feet wet. It must reduce their body temperature quite quickly. Oh, lovely. What is it with everything pooping at us today, David? It's a sign. Marwan, they either on the ground like this, walking around, or just sitting on the edge of the water, and if anything comes along and there's a disturbance, then they fly up and land in the dead trees that are close. But a lot of the time, just exactly where they are right now. And it seems to work for them because there's not really a shortage of these guys. Be quite nice if the hammerkop comes around just so you guys can get a nice size comparison between... Oh no, we're going to go onto that log now. It's a better log apparently. Nice size comparison between the geese and the hammerkop just to see how much bigger those Egyptian geese actually are. So peaceful this morning at Treehouse Dam. It's quiet. Lots of you are saying that this hammerkop is a very unique looking bird. They are quite unique, aren't they? I mean, they're not flashy by any stretch of the imagination, but that weird shaped head, the way that they kind of carry themselves makes for an interesting bird to watch, and also their behavior from a nesting point of view. They build massive nests that they fill with all kinds of things. They much like crows in many respects, in that they like shiny objects and foreign objects in their nest. So often find all kinds of weird and wonderful things inside hamakop nests. But yeah, they build these massive big nests, and will return to them year after year as a pair. And basically just spend their day doing exactly what this one is doing, is walking the fringes of water points. Normally they're in the water and they shuffle their feet and disturb frogs and fish and little crabs and kind of just feed off anything that's aquatic. And then, like I say, during breeding season, it's up to the nest. They sit on the nest and then down to water, and it's kind of back and forth. It's good to see some, well, it's not good to see, but I'm not surprised that Egyptian geese have made it here. We haven't seen any Egyptian geese at the dam for a few days, and I was kind of weirded out by it, because these guys are literally at every single water point we have on this reserve, and normally, even if there's a puddle, there's an Egyptian geese and Egyptian goose somewhere around it. So it was weird that there wasn't ones here, but I see now a pair has taken up residence. I'm sure they'll stick around in this area for the coming months, particularly because water sources are starting to dry a little bit, and the space around its water points are starting to get a little bit less. So I'd imagine that sooner rather than later we're going to see, these guys all trying to establish themselves in their own little place. It's incredible to see how far the water has receded. You can see with the mud, especially in this little outflow area. We don't realize it, because you often kind of come here day in, day out, and the water level slowly but subsides a little bit. But it really has backed off quite a lot now, particularly in the last 5 weeks or so. It's gotten a lot lower, a lot quicker. The dam is definitely drying quite fast, and that'll be for a number of reasons. It's going to be because we've actually had quite high temperatures. I know today we're saying it's cold, but we've had quite high temperatures mixed with a lot of wind, which causes a huge amount of evaporation to take place. And then we also obviously in dry periods, so not a lot of rain around. And that will cause a lot of these dams to start to shrink quite quickly. And then you get big populations of elephants coming through, and buffalo. That drains the water holes quite fast as well. All right, I think we'll carry on. We'll probably leave Chia's Dam, just go see what else we can find.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Marataba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them, and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Marataba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. As one of the industry's best and Fagasa endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a Fagasa accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Now, talking of birding, which I know Tristan's been doing, and it's actually a fantastic idea, Tristan. I haven't done live birding in a long time. We used to do competitions, see if we could get the most birds on camera. I haven't done that in really long. That's a good idea, Tristy. But well, I have arrived to bad country. Hold on, there's a chance I might see her. You won't get her beaks, just let me... I think we've got her. I think that's her. When I say her, I mean Batilda. I don't actually know if it's a he or a she, so I just use the names interchangeably. I read this fantastic book called It's Not About the Bats. It goes into such mind-blowing topics, South African author Adam Cruz, and he talks about gender in the animal kingdom, and I won't say any more than that, but he said if you don't know the sex of an animal, just interchange the sort of gender roles. So sometimes I call Batilda he, sometimes I say she. But we don't actually know at this stage, but it's right up here. Oh no, she's flown off. Oh, she's up the top. VK had her. Please don't go anywhere, dear. We're coming all this way just to see you. If it's her. I'm pretty sure that she's always in this knobthorn now for some reason. It's not the nesting knobthorn, but she really loves it here. Yes, it's her. Hello, beautiful. She can be really, really cute. Oh, this bird just makes me happy. And of course, Batilda was born in slightly warmer times. So as a youngster, has to immediately make adaptations to the cold. I know Tristan was talking about the cold earlier. That's what we're all talking about because we are so cold. But animals are constantly adapting to their environment, even when we don't see it, or we don't notice it. It can be very, very minor. And I was talking yesterday about that evolutionary arms race. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the theory of evolution. I'm not touching on that. I'm just talking about the constant adaptations that species are making to survive, especially between predator and prey. And that's what they call it, sort of the evolutionary arms race. But what it is just either the predator or the prey, and this is very general, making those small changes in order to survive, in order to constantly get the upper hand. It's never equal. Sometimes the prey are on the back foot, sometimes the predator are on the back foot. And one fantastic example I was reading about is this sort of arms race between bats and moths. And naturally, as we all know, bats evolved echolocation, which is really a form of biological sonar, and it allows them to detect their prey, especially moths. Moths are generally nocturnal as well, not all species, in complete darkness. They emit sort of high-frequency calls, and they listen to the echoes that come back. That's a very simple explanation of echolocation. But generally speaking, the frequencies used by bats ranged anywhere from 12 to around 210 hertz. And our human hearing disappears long after, well, before about 20. And therefore, bats generally tend to echolocate out of our frequency range. We can't really hear. Some bats' vocalizations we can, but generally that entire biological sonar we don't hear. It's happening all the time around us if you're in the presence of bats and we don't hear it. But then moths, that gave bats the upper hand. So moths were on the back foot, So then they actually developed a sort of early warning system to defend themselves against the bats. Their ears actually adapted, and they could start to hear some of the frequencies of the bats. So then the moth started to get the upper hand. And this sort of process went on and on and on. It's a really long story. Oh, she's coming back, Beaks, well done. Hashtag proud. Just loves it. Loves to fly. Come back, Batoda. Look at her go. Well done, BK. Sterling job. Incredible. And just to wrap up that thought, so moths then sort of evolved ears which allows them to hear the echolocation. So then moths get the upper hand because they can avoid the predators. Then bats sort of change their frequencies and their sort of output, if you like, by evolving more of a stealth echolocation. And that means it was inaudible to moths. But then moths now can hear the bats, but over a sort of long period of time, some moths evolved ultrasonic clicks of their own that they used to defend themselves against a bat attack. So when the bat's swooping in, moths emit these clicks and give the bats a fright. So long story short, it's a constant process, not about the theory of evolution, it's just about the constant adaptation, constant change between predator and prey. And that's why they call it the arms race, because it's like predator and prey. And then the prey will get there and start to overtake, the predator will go on the back foot. Then the predator has to evolve something to get the upper hand, and the prey goes on the back foot. And it's amazing when you learn about all these examples out here. It's constantly changing, constant adaptations. Sometimes we can't see. She's still there, Beaks. I'm not sure if we can. We did a really good job there. Oh, she is just soaring the skies. It's obviously that time of day. Oh, that was such a wonderful little sighting of Batilda. We're going to enjoy it, but we're going to send you guys over to Tristan, who's on the move.
Well, Batilda flying high. It's been a long journey to that point, but good to hear that that's the case. I'm sure it will be a very successful little Batelia chick. It's going to come a time, though, where it's going to be difficult to know whether it's Batilda or any other Batelia, which will be, I suppose, quite sad. Anyway, we're still bumbling. We've left Tswalu Dam. As you can see, it's not a fast-paced drive today. It's been a quiet Saturday morning, but that's okay. These things happen. I think, was it last week that the morning was quiet and in the afternoon we had a good Saturday? Or was it the morning that was busy and the afternoon was quiet? I can't remember. But hopefully, this afternoon will get better and we'll pick up some things. Probably head towards Chitwa this afternoon, go and see if our little Marips is still at his mansion there at Chitwa Dam. See if he's still been busy around there. I suspect that he hasn't gone very far at all. Yes, of course, Tundi has come to fetch him. She might have. But there's been no tracks or anything around Tswalu, so I can't see any signs of anything moving around here, from elephant to buffalo to leopard to pretty much anything. The only tracks I've seen is impala tracks and a hippo track. That's it. Not much else to report from this part of the world. Always drive slowly at this little marula. There's a little hole in this tree that I've had a monitor lizard in. So always just check that it's not in there. No sign of it. Our old vulture nest that we used to have in this area is completely dilapidated now. It's almost broken apart, which is worrying. I wonder where those vultures have gone, because they typically use the same nest every year. And for the 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020,
they used that nest. So it's just this year that they haven't, which is sad. This either means that the vultures are gone, or for some reason they felt like that nest was disturbed enough that they needed to move off. Hello, impalas. Let's appreciate some impalas, why not? They're gracing us with their presence, and we shall therefore return the favour. There's old one-horned wonder. You see him, David? On the far left. We've seen this herd the last few days. We've driven this area so much of late. It's been driving quite a bit and seen him quite regularly. He's in good condition, besides the horn. The rest of him is looking really good. But you'll notice this morning that the impalas are not their sleek, shiny selves. Their hair is all standing on end. And I don't know if you've ever been very cold and you feel like everything kind of gets cold. You get those little, call them goose pimples or chicken flesh. What else is another name for them, David? That's all I can think of too. So it's essentially the same thing with them, is that they're getting that and they just erect their fur up in order to just trap a little bit more air around the body, and that then warms up and it creates almost like a little blanket for them in cold weather. That and a bit of sunshine goes a long way into keeping them feeling pretty happy. They look super chilled though. Danica, yes. So you find the one-horned impalas have a tough time during the rut. They just can't get the right purchase and the right angles to be able to clash properly. Which then leads to them, unfortunately, missing out on a lot of mating rights. Fighting is also a lot more dangerous because they don't have any protection on the side where the horn is broken. That horn slips a lot of the time and like pokes into their head and their neck. So you find that they aren't that successful when it comes to the rutting period. That wind is now kicking up. I was saying earlier that we'll be fine as long as it doesn't get too windy, but it's now starting to get very windy and the wind has got an icy feel to it, so the day is not going to warm up much. I think it's going to stay pretty chilly the whole day. Is it just me or is this impala closest to us that's facing us, David, very light in colour comparatively? It's quite light. It does, eh? Maybe it's just the angle of the light hitting his fur. He looks quite content though. He's got that kind of like sort of relaxed eye look while he's ruminating. No, so probably not as painful as it would be to kind of break an arm or something like that. There's not a lot of tissue around it. But I'm sure it's still some element of pain. If there's blood flow to it and it's attached to the body, when it breaks off, I'm sure it's not very comfortable. And then there's obviously the irritation that starts to happen after that, which is flies and various other things. So yeah, I don't think it's comfortable to have a horn broken off, but I don't think it's as bad as like somebody hacking off your leg. I think that would be a far worse fate than a broken horn. I mean, like I say, the rest of him looks good, his condition is good, and that's healed quite nicely, so that horn probably broke a number of months ago already. Probably around April somewhere there, it would have popped off, and now it's all healed over, and he'll be absolutely fine, it won't be hurting anymore. See, the impalas are just taking it still very easy. They're all just ruminating. Clever boys, with this wind coming up like this, better just to stay out in the open rather than being in the thickets. car in the background. We're not far from one of the main roads, so the car noise here can be quite heavy. So all the guys on Game Drive heading back to camps now. Peaceful otherwise though, isn't it? I mean, I know it's been a cold morning and a quietish morning, but it's been nice. We've had the lions this morning, we had short trunk briefly. It's been a fairly pleasant drive. I haven't actually found it to be too unpleasant out here. I mean, it's been cold, but it's not been ridiculous. It's actually been a very, very chilled morning. Something mesmerizing about watching them chewing the cud. I don't know why, it just is. But you see how when we got here, they moved a little bit, just so that there's enough space between us and them, just in case, even though it's so open around us, nothing can really hide. They still make sure that they just give themselves a little bit of room to work with from where we've parked. Alrighty, I think what we're going to do is leave these guys to themselves to carry on ruminating and sunbathing, and we're going to slowly start bumbling back northwards towards camp.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We've made our way back to the dam as the wind speed has now increased and it makes our walking a little bit unpredictable. However, I do love sitting at these dams and just looking at what's going on. Quite often by simply sitting, you actually end up seeing a lot because you're patient and you also sit somewhere where you're not as mobile, and often it's animals and often it's very unique experiences which you do find. At the moment, there's only 2 Egyptian geese out there that we can see on the distant end of the dam. But what I would like to tell you about these dams is that quite often what we find with dams and pans like this is that they will dry up. And we're right into the hardest part of the winter at the moment. And we find that we absolutely have very, very little rain at this time of the year, compared to areas such as the Western Cape region of South Africa, which receives all the rainfall during the winter months. Ours are predominantly summer-driven. One of the things that I do find quite interesting is that during the summer months, when there's a sufficient amount of water, we also find that it assists that animals will move over a far wider area and not centralize around these dams. Quite often we also find in winter months that there's increases of diseases around these dams. And one of these I've found over the years is that dams and pans in certain areas where anthrax becomes prevalent when the water bodies start drying up. And quite often that's been spread by animal species such as hippopotamus as well as kudu. One of the other benefits from the dry seasons is that they also act as natural selection tools. And we find that on an average winter period that a large number of animals will not make it due to the lack of water, poor nutrition, as well as extreme weather conditions. And it's only the strongest ones that will at the end of that season, be able to mate. We also find within the savanna system that we have periods of up to 7 to 10 years of high rainfall, followed by periods of 7 to 10 years of incredibly low rainfalls. These two act as natural selection tools, which enables those stronger animals once again to survive and carry on the best possible genes, which ensures the long-term survival of that specific species. on and go and see what else there is. But let's go and check what Lauren is doing.
We're also heading to a waterhole, our last one for today. I'm just enjoying the sun, to be honest. It is, my fingers are back to normal. BK looks human again. Didn't look human earlier, Beaks. It's just nice. I'm not taking off the layers yet, but it's nice. And just touching on that sort of adapting to the environment thing. I personally feel because humans always think in boxes. We do, I do, everybody does. That we forget that everything's in a constant state of flux. Even, for example, a lion's territory. The Nkomas and the Talamatis are not fighting or anything like that. They just border one another. And that really outer perimeter of the territory, that very outer part, it's not the core area. Hello, guys. How are we? I'm going to try and get a little bit closer, Beaks. That very perimeter of the territory is the sort of part that's constantly unstable, is constantly in that state of flux. It's almost like that very outer line is no man's land, and they can push, and Kahumas can push one way, Talamatis can push one way, but it doesn't mean that they're meeting or they're fighting. And a really good example of, I've mentioned this before, but in the Maldives, if any of you have ever been, it's an island nation. There's no real landmass. There's 1,200 islands, I think. And even that in itself is in a constant state of flux. Some islands are disappearing and sinking, and other islands are just constantly reappearing. It's never the same amount of islands. And my old island was circular. So think of a circular coral island with sort of trees and vegetation on the inside and then a lovely outer band of sand. Now, before the times of EIA's environmental impact assessment and people really analysing the island before building, why build something when you haven't analysed the island? You'll find in one monsoon, the northeast monsoon, you'll have this gorgeous bank of sand on the southern side, for example, and it extends for miles and it's pure white and it's crystal clean and it's gorgeous. Someone comes along and thinks, I'm going to build a beach bar here. This is such a beautiful bank of sand. This is where people are going to want to hang out and drink their cocktails. So they build a beach bar. Great. But no one assessed the island. No EIA was done. This is back in the day. And lo and behold, when the southwest monsoon comes in, the currents change, the wind changes, the sand moves. So that beautiful beach bar that you spent millions of dollars on now has no beach. And I'm not joking. The entire gorgeous, long, crystal clear beach that was there shifts to the other side of the island, let's just say the northern side, which is entirely normal. The islands are not stagnant. They're not stable. The sand is constantly moving. We just can't always see it. But if you take aerial shots, which is possible now with drones and technology, you'll see throughout the year, throughout the seasons, the sand is ever so marginally shifting. So at one point you have this gorgeous beach and it's great. But then the next season, that beach is gone. That sand is on the other side. So you should never block, you should never really make barricades or blocks that stops the sand moving. If you do make a jetty or a walkway, it should just be on stilts so that the sand can still move underneath. And back in the day, people didn't realize that. So when they spent their millions of dollars on gorgeous beach bars, for half of the year, that beach bar had no beach. And the constant change of the island makes for constant changes in the seagrass beds. They have their own adaptations to that. Then the coral reef. The coral has its own adaptations to that, to change in season, change in currents, change in food. And you've just got to pay attention to it over time. It's not visible automatically. It's a process over time. And you'll slowly start to see the changes that even the most minute microorganisms are making to adapt to their environment. Islands, okay, they're not a living thing, but even the sand is changing in order to adapt to the change in season. And it's something that really fascinates me. And clearly fascinates these impalas too. Just pay attention to the organism that you're looking at, and they will show whether it's biological, physiological, behavioral, they will show changes. The desert lions of Namibia are a great example of that. They're lions, or the African lions, Panthera leo. But they've had to change to adapt to their environment, which is the desert of Namibia. And their changes are remarkable. Their survival rate is high. Anyway, what a lovely, lovely little sighting of all this impala here that look a little bit nervous, so we're going to sit here and watch them for a while. We have another wonderful guest with us, Sergio Real. Sergio is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I bought a Ticket to Dream because I love WildEarth. All of the guides have been awesome. We've been watching for years, and it's a favorite part of my day to get to watch the drives. I look forward to seeing lots of leopards.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part of the drive today was definitely an elephant that paid us a visit and came right to our car.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's amazing being on a live drive in Djuma. It's just fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and the animals are even better.
The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organization. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Well, no luck for us this morning. Did actually just pick up tracks for a female leopard that looks quite nice. They look pretty good from last night. They cut off into the block to my left here, so it's going to have to be an afternoon mission to try and figure out where she went. It could be those same tracks for Shidulu that went off into Arathusa side. Or it could be little Kalamba that's milling about here. I know she was seen late last night at about 8:30 east of Djuma camp. We're heading east, but that means nothing with her. She can cover ground in about 10 minutes. David, look, we're back where we started with the tracks this morning. And we didn't win at all. It's your fault, David. You were supposed to find this leopard. Why didn't you find it? You need to be better this afternoon. You've got a chance to redeem yourself this afternoon, David. You shall have to do so. I was saying to David now, I was driving. It's been a long time since I've been on a game drive where I finished a game drive at 9:30 with gloves and a beanie on. Generally get rid of it pretty early on, but today it's not one of those days. Surprised we haven't actually seen any ellies or more ellies or signs of ellies around. There were lots at one point. I wonder if it's maybe just this cold weather that they've decided not to come
down or come out. I'm sure this wind will also deter them a little bit and stop them from moving about. Your cap just blew off, David. Don't worry, let's do a rescue mission to go get it. Here we go. Here we go. Do you want high-speed rescue, or do you want just... I have to wait for David to jump off and get his hat. David, put your hat on properly before it blows off again. I was anything but driving fast. How did it come off if you have headphones on? Did you have your headphones off, David? Yes. David was being naughty and not listening to my audio. Just David. David, back to we go, buddy. This afternoon is another chance to come out and reset and see if we get some luck. Maybe we'll figure it out a little bit.
Tristan still has his gloves on. There's my hands. BK, let me see your hand. There's one of BK's hands and the other one. Ah, okay. Oh, Tristan. Tristan also has thermals on. I have a thermal top on. He's very wrapped up. He detailed in exact detail this morning what he's wearing. That's the kind of conversations we have in the morning when we're doing our checks. I'm not sure of my plans for this afternoon. I'm sure Tristan will look for leopards. I have to say, I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get any hyena action. I was really thinking big kill hyenas will be there, and they were there. They're just no longer there. So I have to say I'm a little bit sad about that. That's the only real way we're going to get to spend time with them all, when they all come to a big carcass. I mean, when a leopard's got an impala in a tree, yes, it attracts hyenas, but not the entire clan. But if you have a big kill like a giraffe, sometimes the entire clan is there. But sadly, I didn't get my wish. But that's okay. We got to spend some time with the Talamatis at Torchwood Dam, which is great news. They're all very, very flat. They all moved over into the shade, and then when we moved, no signal. But that's okay. At least lots of promise for this afternoon. We have 0 game drive right now. I don't quite know what's happening. I'm sure it will be fixed. A bit of a challenge. If you find a leopard, I found Tavangumi the other night and had no way to communicate with everyone. I had no cell service on my phone and no game drive. So someone just drove past us and said, "What are you looking at?" And we're like, "Leopard!" But could get in trouble for that. So hopefully that will get fixed very shortly. So I don't know my plans yet. No update on the hyena den. I still drive past that one that's just off Gowrie Main every single day, and no activity, no warthogs nor hyenas. So I do feel they've moved. I feel that day that we found the warthogs was the night that they moved, and I just don't know where they are. I haven't had an update. If Polly finds them on Little Gowrie, he will for sure tell me. But hyenas are not really the animal that people generally seek, which is why they call me the crazy Misi lady, and that's okay. I'm always saying, "Where's the Misi? Is there Misi? Have you seen Misi?" We're just going to give you some final views of quarantine. I'm very much looking forward to breakfast. Are you, Beaks? The boys like their food in this camp, I tell you. And so do I. Especially after a cold morning. It's the coldest it's been. Hands down, this is the coldest day since I've been here. We must be right in the crutches of winter. That cold front we all laughed about hit us hard. And you should never laugh about a cold front. There's nothing funny about a cold front. And naturally, as we look over quarantine, one of the best places in all our traverse, it has come to that time of day where the sunrise safari is now finished. The sun is up, the day is started. But a big thank you to you all for jumping on board. You are what make it. Your comments, your questions, and just being with us on the back of our safari vehicle. So please do join us this afternoon, and until then, have a great day.